Welcome to the fourth season of Chat with the Chair. I'm your host, Kevin Foley, CFMA's 2023-24 chair. As a former Jeopardy champion, this season's Chat with the Chair promises to be an exciting ride as we present each episode in a Jeopardy format. In today's episode, I'm delighted to welcome CFMA's president and CEO, Stuart Binstock, to the show. Welcome, Stuart.
Kevin, thanks for inviting me. Should be fun.
Well, glad to have you here, Stuart. And since you are currently transitioning toward your retirement, it's a great time to have you here. I'm sure you're aware of the format. So, Stuart, the board is yours. What would you like to select as your first category?
Well, since my work is limited coming up, let's pick out work for $1,000.
Okay, great. And the answer is CIASP and the Principal Partner Program.
Well, I think the question is, what are two of my most significant accomplishments during my tenure at CFMA?
Okay, well, as well, that is certainly the case. So why don't you tell us about your involvement in those two areas and the impact it's had for you?
Well, I think CIASP is in some respects what I consider one of my greatest accomplishments at CFMA. I'm here actually in Pittsburgh, and I'm speaking to the chapter on suicide prevention. I often ask the question when I speak on suicide prevention, how many of you have been impacted by suicide, either personally or professionally? And consistent with what happens when I ask that question, about 2/3 of the 40 people that were in the room today raised their hand. This has been a huge problem in the construction industry for a long time. About 7 years ago, Cal Bayer and Sally Spencer Thomas wrote an article. Christy Demboski, our editor or publisher of our magazine, walked into my office and said, "What do we do about this?" And we both looked at each other and said, "Well, let's print it and see what happens." And we had no idea what would happen. I always say there was a tsunami of activity after we printed that article. Shortly after that, the CDC ranked construction as the #1 industry with the highest incident rate of suicide of any industry. So unbeknownst to us, when we first started the initiative, we had hit on something that was a big problem and needed a lot of work. If you fast forward 7 years, we've done a lot. We created the Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention. I encourage people to look up CIASP. There's a host of benefits and training programs and things they can access from that website. And I guess the best indicator I can give you of how I think we've grown is Sally Spencer Thomas has a summit called Working Minds that she just had a couple of months ago. And 47 companies submitted applications for something that they are doing in the area of suicide prevention. If we had done that 7 years ago, there would have been 0 companies that would have submitted an application for anything. So we've come a long way. We have a long way to go, but we've made great progress. It's now on people's minds. People are talking about it. And of course, the broader subject is really mental health. And between mental health and suicide prevention, CFMA has been a real leader in that effort in the construction industry. I'm very proud of that.
Well, I should think that it would be a really proud moment, because anybody who is saved, any family that has not had to suffer a loss as a result of that, can be grateful for the creation and your willingness to participate and help CFMA be a lead organization to forming this for the betterment of the industry. It's a really lasting legacy. So congratulations on that. And then there's the Principal Partner Program you can discuss.
The Principal Partner Program is a little different, but it's in some respects to CFMA, it's just as significant, because when I came on board, I stole the idea from another association about creating a kind of a super bundle program, which we call the Principal Partner Program. So it's a super sponsorship kind of program, bundling a lot of things into somebody's sponsorship. And so I guess it's been over 10 years ago now. Trimble, then known as Viewpoint, Forvis, then known as BKD, signed up, and we've raised over $3 million over this period from those two organizations contributing to CFMA. We could not have done a number of things that we've done without their support. I can think of two in particular that particularly relate to chapters. I don't think we would have been able to get the STAR program off the ground, and I don't think Spring Creek is now free for all attendees. I don't think we would have been able to do that as well. So their support has been tremendous, and they've done it without asking a lot of us. So they are really true partners, and I valued the relationships we've developed with those two organizations.
Well, and it's funny because those two organizations have grown fairly significantly during that time as CFMA has also grown. So the partnership seemed to be working all around. And in addition, it's also helped, I think, in our regional conferences as well, that seem to be at a healthier and stronger level now. Even coming out of COVID, it's really there's a lot of energy out there. So congratulations on that. Again, something else I understand it. You should be rightfully very, very proud of. So
thanks, Kevin.
At this juncture, we say look at the board and see where do you want to go next.
Okay, well, let's focus on the construction industry. How about straight out of construction for $800?
Okay, and the answer for this is AGC, AIA, and NECA.
Three acronyms. All right, I think the question is, what construction industry associations have paved the way for me to successful lead CFMA?
Okay, so knowing your own career helps in this category. So that's great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how all of that work over the years ended up making your way through to becoming CEO at CFMA?
Well, I think
we're continuing all the acronyms here today.
We're acronym full today. That's the industry as it is, also always very full of acronyms. I think it's safe to say I probably wouldn't have gotten the job if I hadn't had all that past experience. And I think what I've been able to successfully do is bridge the gap between CFMA located in Princeton, New Jersey, and all these other associations, mostly located in Washington, D.C. Since until I took the job at CFMA, my whole career was in the D.C. area. So I was very familiar with those associations. I worked at those three associations that you mentioned. So I was able, as soon as I got to CFMA, I was able to make contact to put us in connection with a lot of other associations. I know when I got to CFMA, we didn't do a very good job of that. And we actually made it one of our strategic plan elements, which was to improve our external relations. So certainly CISP had something to do with improving our external relations, but also connecting with organizations like this. We have an annual conference with AGC. We've done some educational programming together with NECA, two other associations. I can think of the Construction Management Association of America. I knew them before, connected with them. We've done a couple of educational and joint partnership programs with them. And then the Association of Equipment Management Professionals, we're currently working on this comparator, which is a benchmarker for heavy equipment. I had connections with them before I got to CFMA. So I think I was able to cultivate and grow our relationship with a lot of other associations. One of the hallmarks, I think things that make me feel really good, is we now have associations contacting us, asking us to partner with them. I think some of that had to do with during the pandemic, and we did I think a terrific job of educating our members and keeping them abreast of all that was going on during the pandemic. some of the programs that were available to them. And we started to get phone calls from other associations asking us to partner with them and put on programs for their members because they realized that we were on top of that. So I think all in all, both the relationships I had before I got there and since I cultivated since I got there have made us a better association.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing all of that. So as we go to the final part of this element of the game, I'm going to ask you now to go back to the board and see what your final category will be.
Well, we haven't gotten personal yet, so I guess let's go up close and personal for 400.
Okay, and the answer for this is Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jim Brown. What does that have to do with construction? So what's
Not
the
much.
what's the answer there?
Yeah, not much. I think the question is, who are two people I greatly admire?
Okay, so this is really, really different from our normal board here. So I'd love for you to explain to our viewers and listeners why you admire these two gentlemen so much.
So Lin-Manuel Miranda, if you've ever been to our conference, you probably have noticed that my walk-on music is almost always from Hamilton. To say that Lin-Manuel Miranda is talented is a bit of an understatement. A real genius. I can tell you that if you asked me before Hamilton if I like rap music, I would say unequivocally no. I hate rap music, and yet Lin-Manuel Miranda largely did a show to rap, and it was unbelievable. It was just beyond comprehension. I'm a big Broadway fan. I've probably gone to over, I don't know, 200 to 250 Broadway shows in my life. When I get near New York City, I have to hit the theater district. So Lynn's at the top of the game when it comes to Broadway. And the other thing I'd have to say is I don't know him. I've never met him, but I have heard from almost everyone who's ever met him or knows him that he's also a really wonderful human being. He's done a tremendous amount for Puerto Rico, where he came from.
Yes.
And it speaks to his how much of a giving person he is. So
okay,
Jim Brown,
and he also happens to be over my shoulder right now too.
well,
So
there you go.
chose him for the background because of your affection for him and the show.
Perfect. Thank you, Kevin. Perfect. The other guy we mentioned is Jim Brown. For those
Yeah,
of you
the late Jim Brown just passed away.
Yeah, for those of you who are a little younger, you may not even know who Jim Brown is. He was arguably the best running back ever to play in the National Football League. He played for the Cleveland Browns, but before that, he was an All-American at Syracuse University, and probably a lot of people don't know he was also considered one of the best lacrosse players ever to play the game. I'm a huge lacrosse fan. I played in high school and college. I've coached for many years. It's the best game, bar none. Sorry, baseball, but doesn't compete. Jim Brown was, people have said, there's not a lot of tape that you can see him in, but if you know anything about the game of lacrosse, there's the position of midfield, and their job is to run back and forth between both goals. And you need a lot of stamina, you need speed. I can't imagine anyone more better equipped to do that than Jim Brown. I've heard over the years he was unstoppable as a midfield lacrosse player. So shout out to Jim Brown and for all the activist work he did as well. He seems like also, in addition to his prowess as an athlete, quite a human being.
Yeah, and if I had heard things right, I think he's even still got certain NCAA records in lacrosse because of how dominant he was as a player. So I guess we're expecting to see you back hitting the lacrosse field then in your retirement, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to hit the field, Kevin. I don't think you might see me on the sidelines. Actually, I have a young kid. He's not that young anymore. He's probably in his 30s. Who first learned to play lacrosse with me in junior high and high school, and I've kind of watched his career. He's become a coach. He's African American. There are not a lot of African Americans in lacrosse, and I'm so proud of what this kid has done. And I hope to support him in some way after I retire.
Oh, that's really wonderful to hear. Thank you, Stuart. So at this time, you've earned $2,200 that you won't be receiving, but we're doing a we're doing a Final Jeopardy. So what of that 2,200 you would like to wager?
Oh well, I'm a gambler, Kevin. So it's double or nothing. Let's go all the
Okay,
way.
so this is kind of in your wheelhouse. Today's Jeopardy category is Broadway musicals. So definitely in your wheelhouse. So the answer is he played Mordred in the original Broadway production of Camelot.
Oh gosh.
Ooh,
So I know Robert Goulet played was one of the stars, but
it'd be
didn't play Mordred.
too easy to go there.
Yeah, it would be too easy if you had said Robert Goulet.
Right.
I'm going to pass, Kevin. I'm not going to answer that question correctly.
Really? I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Yeah, Mordred. I don't remember that specific character.
Well, it's funny because I picked that to go after because to say Guinevere is Julie Andrews and King
Richard
Arthur
Harris,
being
the king.
King Arthur was Richard Burton,
Richard.
Lancelot,
Oh,
Robert Goulet, and
right.
the very famous actor Roddy McDowall played Mordred in
Wow, you got me on that one, Kevin.
yeah.
You are clearly a trivia guy, way beyond my capacity.
Well, that's how I ended up on the show just to begin with, I guess, because I accumulate really useless information there is things that don't get me anywhere. But I really would have thought you'd get that one.
Yeah, I missed that one.
I mean, it was an astonishing cast for that musical to come out with. So,
And it's back on Broadway.
Yeah, and of course, anybody is who the heck's Roddy McDowall, and say, well, he was in Planet of the Apes. It's like, okay, and that's how they'll remember him.
Well, I'm not sure a lot of people, the younger generation, millennials, would know who Robert Goulet is either. So,
oh God, no, unless somebody played some of the Christmas songs he did.
Yes, had a great voice.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Stuart, for being part of this show and for the many important contributions you've made to CFMA in the past dozen years. Is there anything else you'd like to say before finishing out?
Thanks to you, Kevin. You're doing a great job as chair. Thanks to all of CFMA. It's been a wonderful run. Enjoyed myself immensely. Feel like, I found a family. So thanks.
Okay. Well, Stuart, it's a pleasure to have you join me today. And I encourage everyone to learn more about construction suicide prevention by visiting preventconstructionsuicide.com. And don't forget to tune in soon as I continue to introduce you to some more of the incredible members, leaders of CFMA and our partners. Thanks again. Take care.
Thanks, Kevin.